Have you ever felt like you're always holding the steering wheel of life, just a little too tight? We plan, we push, we hustle, believing that if we just try hard enough, we can bend the universe to our will. We think success comes from control of the outcome, the timing, even how people respond to us. But let's be honest, the more we try to control, the more we burn out. The more we grasp, the more life slips through our fingers. Maybe you've been there, checking every detail, micromanaging every step, feeling like if you just did more, worried more, things would finally fall into place. But instead, what do we get? Exhaustion, frustration, disappointment. The truth is, life doesn't work that way. What if I told you that real power, the kind that brings peace, clarity, and unexpected miracles, doesn't come from the grind, but from letting go? What if success is not something we chase, but something we align with? You see, the universe doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to energy. And when your energy is tense, anxious, controlling, the universe pulls back. But when your energy is calm, trusting, and open, it flows in your direction. Surrender isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing when to act and when to step back. So today, let's explore a different path, a quieter one, the path of surrender, not giving up but giving in, to a rhythm that's wiser, more generous, and far beyond anything we could ever script for ourselves. Are you ready to stop forcing and start allowing? Let's begin. Have you ever noticed how when you're desperate for something, love, money, success, it feels like it only moves further away? It's one of life's quiet paradoxes. The more we chase, the more it runs. And yet when we're calm, centered, at peace, somehow, things start falling into place. Here's the truth. The universe doesn't respond to your desperation. It responds to your vibration. Your energy speaks louder than your words, louder than your to-do lists, louder than all your frantic effort. Every thought, every emotion you hold, it sends out a signal, and that signal is always being answered. Think of it like this. If you're vibrating with peace, trust, and quiet confidence, you're telling the universe, I'm already whole, I'm already aligned, I'm open to receive. And what you receive often reflects that state. But when you're vibrating with anxiety, when you're worried, obsessing over timing, questioning your worth, you're sending out a very different message. One that says, I don't have enough, I'm afraid, I'm lacking. And the universe, without judgment, echoes back that same energy. Desperation doesn't bring results. It only reinforces the sense of not having. And that's what you keep attracting. More waiting, more scarcity, more chasing. So what's the shift? It's choosing trust over tension. It's saying, I don't need to force what's meant for me. It's quieting the noise, softening the grip, and allowing space for flow. I know that's easier said than done. We live in a world that rewards hustle, not surrender. But true manifestation doesn't come from pressure. It comes from alignment, from vibrating on the same frequency as what you seek. Love, peace, success, fulfillment. So pause for a moment, breathe, ask yourself, what energy am I putting out right now? Because the universe is always listening, not to your words, but to your state. Vibrate with trust, move with peace, and watch what starts moving toward you. Let me ask you something. How often do you try to control everything? Not just your schedule or your work, but how people react, how fast something happens, how your whole life plays out. If you're like most of us, probably more often than you realize, we've been taught that control is power, that the more we manage, the more we plan, the more secure and successful we'll feel. But here's the quiet truth. Control doesn't always lead to peace. It often leads to tension. Think about it. The more tightly you grip something, an outcome, a relationship, a plan, the more pressure you create. It's like clenching your fist around water. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. In Buddhism, there's a powerful truth. The need to control creates resistance, and resistance blocks flow. It blocks the natural rhythm of life. It blocks joy. It blocks ease. Because the universe doesn't work on deadlines and blueprints. It works on energy, on trust, on allowing. Now, surrendering control doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It doesn't mean you become passive or careless or give up your goals. Surrender means you release the attachment to how it must all unfold. It means you keep showing up with intention, with action, with love, but you let go of forcing the outcome. Let me give you an example. Imagine holding a kite in the wind. You don't force it into the air by yanking the string. You give it just enough guidance to rise. You work with the wind, not against it. Life is like that, and here's the kicker. Resistance isn't just something outside of you. It lives inside too. That tight feeling in your chest when things don't go as planned, that loop of overthinking, second guessing, and what ifing, that's inner resistance, and it's just as powerful as anything external. So what happens when you let go? Just a little. You soften, you breathe, you make space for something wiser to move through you. You stop swimming against the current and start flowing with it. And in that surrender, something amazing happens. You begin to notice things lining up, not because you forced them, but because you allowed them. That's the power of release. So here's the invitation. The next time you feel the urge to tighten your grip, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of if I let go just a little? Because sometimes the very thing we're afraid to release is the only thing standing in the way of what we truly want. Let go. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Let go and let life flow. Have you ever just sat in silence? Not scrolling, not planning, not responding, just quiet. It's rare, isn't it? We live in a world that never stops talking. Notifications, headlines, opinions, constant motion. Everyone's rushing to speak, to be seen, to be heard. But in all that noise, something important gets lost. Ourselves. You see, in Buddhism and many wisdom traditions, silence is an emptiness. It's a space of presence. It's not a void, it's a doorway to clarity, a doorway to truth. Because when the world gets loud, your mind gets louder. And when your mind gets loud, your heart becomes harder to hear. But in silence, something shifts. You begin to notice things. The tension you were holding in your shoulders, the worry you didn't realize was running in the background, the whisper of your own intuition, finally audible. Silence, when we truly allow it, becomes a mirror. It reflects not just what's around us, but what's within us. And here's the thing, silence isn't weakness. In fact, it may be one of the strongest things you can choose, because it takes strength to pause before reacting. It takes awareness to choose not to speak just to fill the void. It takes inner confidence to say, I don't need to be the loudest in the room to be clear in my truth. Think of it like a still lake. When the surface is calm, you can see all the way to the bottom. But if the water's stirred up, full of waves, distractions, noise, everything becomes blurry. Your mind works the same way. And in that clarity, in that silence, something magical happens. You begin to hear the subtle guidance of the universe, not through shouts or flashing signs, but in the quiet nudge, the soft inner pull that says, this is the way. So here's my invitation to you today. Make room for silence. Not just when the world goes quiet, but intentionally. A few moments each morning, a pause before answering, a deep breath instead of a reaction. Because sometimes the answers you're chasing are already whispering inside you, but you can only hear them when the noise stops. Silence is not the absence of something, it is the presence of awareness. So let's stop filling every space with noise. Let's honor silence, not as emptiness, but as energy. Not as passivity, but as presence. Because in the quiet, we find not just peace, we find power. What if I told you that everything you're waiting for is already on its way? Maybe not on your timeline, but on the universe's. And the universe, whether you call it God, source, spirit, or simply life itself, doesn't rush, it doesn't panic. It works on a schedule that's perfect, even if it's invisible. But here's where it gets hard. We live in a world of instant everything. We want answers now, results now, love now, healing now. So when things take time, we start to worry. We ask, why hasn't it happened yet? Or, what am I doing wrong? But maybe, just maybe, the delay isn't a punishment. It's preparation. Think about it. A flower doesn't bloom the moment you plant the seed. You don't dig it up every day to check its progress. You water it, trust the process, and one day it blossoms. Your life works the same way. Some seasons are for planting, others are for growing, and some are simply for waiting in quiet faith. Because waiting isn't wasted time. It's often where the most powerful transformation happens, beneath the surface, where no one can see. I've learned this the hard way. There were moments in my life I thought were failures, doors that didn't open, dreams that didn't unfold on cue. But years later, I realized those delays saved me. They gave me time to grow, to become the kind of person who could actually receive what I was asking for. So here's the truth. When you trust divine timing, you release the pressure. You stop fighting the clock. And instead of living in constant tension, you breathe. You show up. You do your part. But you let the universe decide the when and how. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Because faith isn't just believing something good will happen. It's trusting that even when nothing's happening, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. So if you're in a season of waiting right now, you're not behind. You're not broken. You're not forgotten. You're exactly where you need to be. And when the time is right, when you're ready, when life is aligned, what's meant for you will come. Not a moment too soon, not a second too late. Divine timing is always on time. Let me ask you something. Deep down, do you truly believe you deserve happiness? Not hope for it, not wish it happens someday, but truly, deeply believe you are worthy of it, right here, right now. Because here's something we don't often realize. The universe doesn't respond to our words. It responds to our beliefs. We attract not what we want, but what we believe we deserve. That might sound simple, but it's life-changing. Because if you carry silent doubts about your worth, if you think you're not good enough, smart enough, strong enough, the universe reflects that right back. Opportunities get missed. Doors don't open. Or worse, they open, but you're too unsure to walk through them. But when you shift your inner dialogue, when you begin to truly see yourself as someone who is deserving of love, peace, abundance, not because you earned it, but because it's your birthright, the energy around you changes. People show up, paths become clearer, synchronicities unfold. Why? Because your self-worth becomes magnetic. I've seen this in my own life, in the quiet moments where I dared to say, I am enough. Not perfect, not without flaws, but enough. And in that space, things began to move. Not because I forced them, but because I finally stopped blocking them. You see, doubt is like static. It scrambles your signal. It tells the universe, I don't trust this. I'm not ready. And the universe listens. But when you stand in your truth, calm, confident, grounded, the universe echoes that belief with open doors. So here's my invitation to you today. Let go of the old stories, the ones that told you you're not worthy. They were never yours to begin with. Begin to rewrite that narrative, one belief at a time. Say to yourself, I deserve peace. I deserve joy. I deserve a life that feels good to wake up to. And let that belief lead the way. Because what you believe you deserve becomes what you attract.
Have you ever noticed the more anxious you are, the more things seem to fall apart? You try harder, you push, you chase, but nothing clicks. Doors stay closed, people drift, your mind spins. Now flip the script. Think about those rare moments when you were calm, really calm, when you weren't trying to force anything, just quietly trusting the process, taking a deep breath, and doing what you could without panic. What happened then? More often than not, that's when things finally started flowing. The right person called, the opportunity appeared, your mind felt clearer. You just knew what to do. That's not a coincidence, that's alignment. You see, calmness isn't just a nice feeling. It's not laziness or weakness or giving up. Calmness is power, it's clarity, it's presence. It's a vibration that says, I trust myself, I trust life, and the universe responds to that energy every single time. In Buddhism, we talk about calmness as the doorway to wisdom, because when the mind is calm, we can finally hear, not the loud voices of fear or ego, but the quiet guidance from within. Calmness creates space, space for miracles to emerge, space for new ideas, space for healing. An anxious mind blocks all of that. It's like trying to see your reflection in a stormy lake. Everything's distorted, shaky, unclear. But calmness stills the waters. And that's when you see everything, your desires, your direction, your next steps, reflected with perfect clarity. I learned this the hard way. For years, I believed I had to hustle nonstop. If I wasn't stressed, I wasn't trying hard enough. But all I got was burnout, and ironically, delay. It wasn't until I started slowing down, meditating, breathing, letting go, that things began to open up. It wasn't the grind that got me there, it was the grace. So if you're in a season of rushing, chasing, or overthinking, I invite you to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what if calmness is the very energy that allows what I want to arrive? Because here's the truth. Calmness is not inaction. It's intentional action with peace at the center. It's moving with purpose, not pressure. And that's where your true power lies. So today, let calmness be your manifestation. Let it be your vibration. Let it be your quiet superpower that brings in exactly what's meant for you. No struggle, no force, just flow. Let me ask you something. What are you still holding on to? An outcome you thought had to happen? A relationship you believed would last forever? That vision of success with every detail planned out? We've all been there, clutching so tightly to a specific result, thinking that if we just hold on long enough, fight hard enough, it'll finally work. But here's the truth, most of us don't want to admit. Attachment is often the very thing standing between us and what we truly desire. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as the root of suffering, because the moment we grip something, a dream, a person, a timeline, we create resistance. And that resistance blocks the flow. Think of it like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you relax your palms, water settles, it finds its shape, it flows. Life is like that too. When we release the need to control every step, we invite the unexpected, the beautiful, the miraculous to enter. Not because we gave up, but because we made space. Space for the universe to surprise us, to deliver in ways we couldn't have imagined. I used to believe that letting go meant losing, that surrender was weak. But now, I see it differently. Letting go isn't giving up, it's trusting up. And the more we trust, it's trusting up, it's suffering up, it's trusting up. It's saying, I've done my part, now I'll step aside and let life take the lead. And that's when the magic happens, that opportunity you weren't even looking for, that peace you didn't know you were missing, that healing you thought would never come. It all arrives, not through force, but through flow. So if something in your life feels heavy, like you're constantly pushing, forcing, stressing, ask yourself, what would happen if I let this go? Maybe not forever, but just for now. Just enough to breathe, just enough to trust that if it's meant for you, it will find its way, and maybe in a way far better than you planned. When you let go, you stop blocking your blessings. You stop arguing with timing. You stop trying to control a universe that's been working for your good all along. Letting go creates space, and in that space, miracles are born.
Let's be honest, how many times have we suffered not because something went wrong, but because it didn't go the way we wanted? Maybe the relationship didn't last. Maybe the job didn't come through. Maybe life didn't follow the script we wrote in our heads. And that's where the pain begins. Not in the event itself, but in our attachment to how it should have been. In Buddhism, there's a powerful truth. Attachment is the root of suffering. It sounds simple, but it hits deep. You see, when we cling to people, to outcomes, to identities, we build our peace on something we can't control. And the moment it changes, as life always does, we feel shaken, lost, even broken. It's like trying to hold on to smoke. The tighter you grip it, the faster it slips through your fingers. I've done it. Clung to relationships I'd outgrown, held on to dreams that no longer fit, tried to control timing, control people, control the uncontrollable, and every time, it hurt. Not because life was cruel, but because I couldn't let go. We think attachment is love. We think control equals safety. But true peace doesn't come from holding tighter. It comes from loosening the grip. Now, that doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you detach from life completely. It means you engage without clinging. You love deeply, but you let things breathe. You work hard, but you release the outcome. You dream big, but you're not destroyed if the path changes. That is non-attachment. It's the art of showing up fully without being enslaved by expectation. It's trusting the unfolding, even when it doesn't go your way. It's realizing that everything you try to control is a doorway to suffering, and everything you release becomes a space for peace. Ask yourself, what are you still clinging to that's already trying to leave? What pain are you holding because you won't release the picture in your mind of how life was supposed to look? When you let go, not give up, but let go, you create space. Space for healing, space for clarity, space for what's truly meant for you to arrive. Because when you stop attaching your worth to outcomes or your peace to permanence, something amazing happens. You begin to live lighter. You begin to suffer less. You begin to breathe again. Suffering doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from what we refuse to let go of. And maybe the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself today, in not to show weight, is to open your hands and release. Have you ever noticed how your mind rarely stays in one place? You're brushing your teeth, but thinking about that meeting tomorrow. You're eating dinner, but replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. And then suddenly, you realize you weren't really there for any of it. We live in a world constantly pulling us into two directions. The past filled with regret, and the future filled with worry. But the past is gone, and the future? It's just a story we haven't written yet. So where does peace live? Here, now, in this breath, in this moment. Presence isn't just a mindfulness buzzword. It's the doorway, the gateway, to something most of us are desperately seeking, peace. When we anchor ourselves in the now, something amazing happens. The noise quiets, the body softens, the heart opens, and suddenly, we're not racing, not resisting, not chasing. We're being. Think of a child playing. They're not worried about time or outcomes. They're fully immersed in the present moment. And in that moment, they are completely free. That's the kind of presence we've forgotten, but can reclaim. Being present doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means returning to it, fully awake, fully aware. When you're present, you start to notice the beauty that was always around you. The way sunlight filters through a curtain, the warmth of your coffee cup in your hands, the sound of your own breath rising and falling. Simple things become sacred when you're truly there. Presence is also where wisdom lives. When your mind isn't tangled in past mistakes or future fears, you begin to hear something deeper, a quiet inner knowing. You start making decisions not from panic, but from clarity. This is why so many spiritual traditions, from Buddhism to Stoicism to modern psychology, emphasize mindfulness. Because being present puts you back in rhythm with life. You stop swimming upstream. You start flowing. So the next time your mind drifts, gently bring it back. To your breath, to your body, to now. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to do more. You just need to be here fully. And that is enough. Because peace doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from being fully alive. One breath, one heartbeat, one sacred moment at a time. It's easy to think that life will reward us if we just push harder, plan better, or never stop moving. We hustle, we micromanage, we try to force the pieces to fit. But what if that very effort is what's keeping everything from falling into place? The truth is, the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It doesn't respond to control. It responds to energy, to flow, to you when you're aligned, calm, open. You see, when we try to force outcomes, we unknowingly block the natural rhythm of life. It's like swimming upstream, exhausting, painful, and often pointless. But when you surrender, when you finally let go of the need to control everything, something shifts. Opportunities appear, clarity returns, and the peace you've been chasing begins to rise quietly from within. This isn't passivity, it's deep strength. It's faith in timing, in alignment, in something greater than yourself. Silence, calmness, trust, they're not signs that you've given up. They're signs that you've grown up. They mean you're no longer arguing with life, but partnering with it. So ask yourself, what are you still forcing today? Where are you holding on too tight to expectations, to people, to outcomes? Letting go doesn't mean loss. It means clearing space. Space for something better, something aligned, something that actually fits who you're becoming. And here's the secret. You attract not what you want, but what you believe you deserve. So if you believe you're worthy of peace, of love, of success, you'll stop chasing and start receiving.